Have you ever jolted awake at 3 in the morning with that gnawing feeling in your gut, like your entire life is waiting for a decision you can't quite name? As if there's a bigger version of yourself on the other side of something you haven't found the courage to face yet. That feeling has a name, and it's not ordinary anxiety. Kierkegaard discovered there's a specific type of inner restlessness that only strikes a certain type of person. People who've reached a level of consciousness where the soul literally can't pretend to be satisfied with mediocrity anymore. He called it existential angst, and he uncovered something that will transform how you see every anxious moment you've ever experienced. This restlessness is directly proportional to the size of your unrealized potential. The greater your capacity for greatness, the stronger the inner pressure you feel. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you not just why you feel this way, but how to transform that energy into fuel for the biggest breakthrough of your life, including the specific technique Kierkegaard used to convert anguish into creativity. And it still works today. But first, you need to understand why everything you've been taught about anxiety is wrong. Kierkegaard identified something that neither Freud nor Jung could fully map. There's a category of inner restlessness that only emerges when your consciousness reaches a certain level of sophistication. It's when you stop worrying merely about survival and start confronting questions of existence. It's no coincidence that great artists, philosophers, and spiritual leaders report intense periods of inner anguish before their greatest discoveries. Van Gogh painted his masterpieces amid existential turmoil. Jung developed his deepest concepts during what he called his confrontation with the unconscious. Gandhi found his mission through what he described as dark nights of the soul. The difference is subtle, but crucial. Common anxiety asks, how do I escape this? Existential angst asks, what is this preparing me for? One is reactive, the other is creative. One seeks relief, the other seeks meaning. And here's the paradox Kierkegaard discovered. The more you evolve spiritually, the more you feel this specific restlessness. Not because something's wrong, but because something is profoundly right. Your soul isn't sick, it's awakening. Kierkegaard developed what we can call the existential equation. Angst equals freedom, times possibilities, times awareness of consequences. Each variable that increases multiplies that sensation of inner vertigo. Think about the last time you had a real opportunity to change careers, relationships, or cities. That feeling in your stomach wasn't fear of failure. It was confrontation with the magnitude of your own power to choose. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio's work provides an interesting parallel to Kierkegaard's insight. The human brain, in its complexity, can process an immense number of possibilities, but can only execute one at a time. Existential angst is the friction between infinite potential and singular manifestation. This is why people with more options often feel more anxious. It's not ingratitude, it's spiritual mathematics. The wider your range of possibilities, the greater the responsibility of choice. You're not anxious because you have problems. You're anxious because you have too much freedom. And that's a privilege few understand. Werner Heisenberg discovered in quantum physics something Kierkegaard had already perceived in human experience. There's a fundamental level of uncertainty that isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. The uncertainty principle isn't a limitation of reality. It's what makes reality creative. Kierkegaard realized that our cultural obsession with eliminating uncertainty is actually an unconscious attempt to eliminate creativity. Because all genuine creation emerges from the encounter between the known and the unknown. Look at your own experience. Your moments of greatest growth happened during periods of greatest uncertainty, not despite the uncertainty, through it. Uncertainty is the space where new possibilities can be born. This explains why contemplative traditions from all cultures include practices of not knowing. Zen meditation, contemplative prayer, apophatic contemplation. Not to eliminate knowledge, but to expand beyond it. Certainty is the graveyard of evolution. God doesn't eliminate uncertainty. He teaches you to trust within it. When Kierkegaard speaks of subjective truth, he's not defending relativism. He's proposing inner archaeology. There's a specific truth buried in the deepest layers of your personal experience, waiting to be excavated. Carl Jung would call this individuation the process of unearthing your unique psychic configuration, not inventing who you are, but discovering who you've always been beneath layers of social conditioning. Kierkegaardian subjective truth has three distinct characteristics. First, it generates energy when you align with it. Second, it persists even when socially inconvenient. Third, it produces unique fruits that only you can create. This is why Kierkegaard wrote, "The crucial thing is to find a truth that is truth for me, not just any arbitrary truth, the archaeological truth that emerges when you dig deep enough into your own experience. This truth isn't opinion, it's discovery." If this perspective is resonating with something deep inside you, if you're recognizing patterns in your own inner journey, consider subscribing to the channel, because in the next chapters, we're diving into the specific techniques that can completely transform how you navigate this inner restlessness. Kierkegaard's leap of faith isn't about religion, it's about existential physics. There's a moment in every important decision where you exhaust available data and need to operate in what mathematicians call non-computable domain. Think of any truly important decision you've ever made. Marriage, having children, changing careers, starting a business. In all of them, there came a moment where rational analysis hit its limit and you had to leap based on something beyond calculation. That something beyond isn't irrationality. It's what we can call intuitive intelligence, your capacity to process complex patterns that exceed conscious analytical ability. Kierkegaard discovered that this capacity only develops through exercise. The more you practice making decisions at the edge of uncertainty, the more refined your intuitive intelligence becomes. It's not about having blind faith. It's about developing muscles for navigation in the unknown. Faith isn't believing without evidence, it's acting without guarantees. And that's a skill that can be trained. Kierkegaard discovered something medieval alchemy intuited. Certain inner energies can be transmuted into others through specific processes. Existential angst and creative passion are, energetically, the same substance in different states. Neurobiologically, this makes sense. Anxiety and passion activate identical nervous systems, adrenaline release, accelerated heart rate, elevated alertness. The only difference lies in the direction of energy, circular or linear, implosive or expansive. But transmutation isn't automatic. It requires what Kierkegaard called passionate choice, conscious decision to channel anxious energy through a specific creative outlet. Observe your own experience. Moments of greatest creativity often follow periods of greatest inner turmoil, not coincidence. Alchemy. The turmoil is raw material. The passion is refined product. The process requires what esoteric traditions call a container. Structure strong enough to hold, transformative energy without being destroyed by it. Your anxiety is passion without direction. Transform fear of the future into hunger for the extraordinary. Here's the specific technique I promised at the beginning. Kierkegaard proposed something revolutionary. Treat existential angst as scientific experiment, not experience to be eliminated. Each episode of Inner Restlessness is an opportunity to collect data about your own psychological functioning. The protocol is simple. When angst appears, don't flee or identify with it. Observe. What thoughts emerge? What physical sensations? What impulses? What specific fears? What hidden desires? This scientific observation has a double effect. It decreases emotional intensity because the observer is not the observed, and generates valuable information about unconscious patterns operating within you. Viktor Frankl discovered something similar in the concentration camps. When he could observe his own suffering with scientific curiosity, the suffering lost its destructive power and gained transformative meaning. Kierkegaard anticipated this. Existential angst is your inner laboratory. Each crisis is an experiment. Each restlessness is data. Each period of uncertainty is an opportunity to discover how you function at deeper levels. Anxiety is a teacher disguised as a torturer. For Kierkegaard, authenticity isn't personal preference. It's ontological imperative, a demand of being itself. When you live inauthentically, you're not just being inconvenient. You're violating fundamental principles of reality. Heidegger would develop this later. Inauthentic existence isn't just a psychological problem. It's a metaphysical problem. You're not just betraying yourself. You're betraying the very structure of existence. This is why inauthenticity generates such specific anguish. It's not just social discomfort. It's what we can call ontological dissonance, friction between who you are and how you're living. This dissonance has measurable energetic cost. Immune, nervous, and endocrine systems function suboptimally when there's contradiction between deep identity and external performance. The Kierkegaardian revolution is realizing that authenticity isn't a luxury for those who can afford it. It's fundamental biological and spiritual necessity. Inauthenticity kills. Slowly. But it has a measurable energetic cost for your body. Your soul prefers authentic anguish to falsified peace. Kierkegaard died in 1855, but left behind a scientific discovery that can transform the next years of your life. Existential angst isn't a symptom of a problem. It's a symptom of potential. It's your spiritual biology functioning perfectly. If you feel the specific restlessness that has no name, if you wake at 3 in the morning with the sensation that you should be doing something different with your life, if you look toward the future and feel simultaneously excitement and terror. Congratulations. You've reached a stage of inner development that only 3% of the population achieves. Medicine will try to convince you that you need treatment. Coaches will promise to eliminate your anxiety. But Kierkegaard proved otherwise. This restlessness is evidence that you're evolving beyond the limits of ordinary consciousness. Now, you have 3 options. Anesthetize this restlessness with distractions. Try to eliminate it with relaxation techniques, or do what Kierkegaard did. Transform it into fuel for your evolution. The choice is yours. But now, at least, you know that the restlessness you feel isn't a defect. It's a calling. It's not weakness. It's strength-seeking direction. It's not a problem to be solved. It's potential to be realized. If this video touched something deep within you, hit that like button so more people can discover this content. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And subscribe to the channel, because we'll continue exploring the deepest territories of inner transformation. And the next time you feel that familiar vertigo, remember, on the other side of fear is the version of you that's waiting to be born. And that changes everything.